diving into one of the most fascinating deep tech stories you'll hear this year. Dr. Capella Kerst didn't just graduate from Stanford with a PhD in mechanical engineering. She literally started her company, Gecko Materials, the day after defending her dissertation. Her bio-inspired dry adhesive technology, which mimics the incredible gripping power of gecko feet and has already made it to the International Space Station and attracted customers like NASA, Ford, Pacific Gas, and Electric. In less than 4 years, she's raised $8 million, generated over $700,000 in revenue, and built technology that can be reused 120,000 times while working in temperatures from minus 115 C to 350 degrees C. Her famous wine bottle demo has investors reaching for their checkbooks on the spot, and she's positioning Gecko Materials to become the next industrial Velcro. This is the story of how cutting-edge materials scientist meets entrepreneurial vision and why this Stanford PhD believes in Gecko-inspired adhesives will revolutionize manufacturing while saving the planet. Dr. Capella Kerst, welcome to the podcast, Production
Thank you so much for
Pioneers.
having me.
Sorry
Oh,
about
thank you.
that. You're welcome. Boy, I tell you what, I couldn't get over how amazed I was at doing the research on you. How fascinating I found it.
Oh,
Just incredible stuff, and it's inspiring. You have really, both from a generation, female scientist, you are absolutely inspiring.
thank you so much.
So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions if you're good with it.
Yes, let's get going. I'm
All right.
excited.
So basically, the genesis of your story. So let's start with that incredible moment you literally started Gecko Materials. Um, excuse me. The day after you defended it at Stanford. Uh, Most people would take a vacation after their dissertation. What made you go immediately into being an entrepreneur and entrepreneurship?
I just had to hit the ground running. I knew that there was a lot of pieces that were moving pieces, and it was more of a marathon than a sprint. So I thought, why not just start my marathon now? So, we started with finding the lawyer, and I knew everything just takes time, and why not just start immediately? So yeah, the day after, I just hit the ground running and I have had a blast ever since then. So maybe I'll take a vacation one day. Maybe next year. I don't know.
So
Oh,
your academic journey spans from UC Berkeley, UCLA, Stanford PhD in mechanical engineering. What initially drew you to the biomimicry and especially the gecko adhesion? What's there? Is there a eureka moment in all this lab stuff?
yeah. So I started out actually working in the like energy space and autonomous vehicle space. And I really thought I was going to start a company in that space. And then after a year into my PhD, I was introduced to Mark Kokoski's lab, and I just fell in love with the missions, values, and the overall, science behind biomimicry. And I played with some demos, and I was like, oh my gosh, this can be man-made. And then I quickly discovered how long it took to make one unit, and I was like, this is why it's not in production in mass scales, in large quantities. I wonder if I can add to the science of the way to manufacture this because I love manufacturing. So, what if I just slightly switch my PhD and work on biomimicry and then whole life cycle sustainability, mass production, and scaling? And that's ultimately what I ended up getting my PhD in. That's a mouthful. But really diving into how to bring hardware to scale at kind of software as a service cost. So that was kind of my focus, just driving down cost and bringing Gecko materials to scale.
Awesome. Your wine bottle demos become pretty legendary. An investor on the pitch was ready to buy $1,200 worth of product on the spot.
And
How'd
they
you
did.
discover?
They took the
How'd you
cash.
discover to demonstrate that your technology using how to do it systematically, replicate that wow factor? Where'd that
Yeah.
come from?
Yeah, so it started out in the lab. So there was another version of it, an earlier version. So I can't take all the credit. Was another PhD student that was demonstrating how to pick up various objects we had. I believe it was either an Amazon or a Walmart challenge where we had a box of things we had to pick up different curved surfaces, and we picked up a basketball. And that was really cool because you can't really, it's very difficult to palm a basketball or a football. So we picked up a football, I picked up a basketball. And then as I was going out, I made another generation of it. One of my other engineers made another generation of this like handheld gripper that you could like put on your pinky. And I would go to a lot of networking events and I was like, wait a second, wine bottles are smooth and glass. I wonder if I can pick it up. And then the first event, I picked up a wine bottle. It was a huge hit with the crowd. And I was like, I can carry this everywhere. There's always wine at an event. I can go up to the bartender and say, "Hey, can I borrow a bottle of wine to show you a trick?" And that kind of how it hits off because we know how heavy a wine bottle is. Like it's not a super light, object. It's, fairly has a fair amount of weight to it. And to hold it with your pinky is very rare.
It was impressive.
Thank
So,
you.
when you envision Gecko Materials becoming a household name like Velcro or Scotch tape, what does the world look like to you?
When we're a household name. So we'll be in every supermarket, Home Depot, Lowe's, Safeway, Target, Sam's Club, Costco, Fred's, whatever you have across the United States and globally around the world. I know there's some international brands that I can't wait until we sell into as well. People will just be innovating and using gecko materials in their everyday lives, integrating with it, helping them to make day-to-day tasks more easy, also saving on space, saving energy, time, and money. So when we're the next industrial Velcro, we're growing our name and our brand image, but that will look like you're just integrating with your day-to-day lives, either like hanging up, a poster or sign, maybe your TV, and also using it at work for various tasks. So, and doing DIY wallpaper. So having your wallpaper, you could switch it out monthly or seasonally if you like, using gecko materials.
Wow, I never even thought of that. As a public benefit corporation, how do you balance profit motives with your environmental sustainability mission?
Yeah, it's super.
Success beyond, I guess, looking beyond just revenue. What's that to you?
Yeah, success also looks like our customers having cleaner and more sustainable energy efficient facilities, having working conditions in our customers' facilities be safer and less hazardous. So there'll be less hazardous oils, gases, noises as well. So we're saving on lung damage, hearing damage from traditional solutions by switching to gecko materials. So success really looks like making a significant impact on the sustainability of our planet in manufacturing around the world and in other aspects. So not only manufacturing, but hopefully there will be other new creative things that our customers come up with to help the environment be more sustainable. So we are a PBC, we're a public benefit corp, we are for profit, but we also have a very strong mission in helping our customers really save and impact their bottom line, but also their sustainability efforts and making their working conditions better.
So, for our audience, can you explain what the van der Waal forces in simple terms mean and how it works?
Yes, even after a PhD and all the time in my company, you never fully grasp the, Van der Waals force. It's very complicated, so I will try my
Pun
best.
intended, by the way.
Yes, pun intended. So basically, you have these micro hairs when pulled in shear create an extremely strong force, namely the Van der Waals force, and that is the intimate contact between the surface that you're grasping and the wedge itself. So as it comes into contact on the molecular level, you're getting this every kind of atom, um, molecule, excuse me, every molecule or unit of kind of matter has a positive and a negative charge. Even if you're a neutral, you have electrons, obviously, and protons on everything that surround the nucleus. I'm hopefully not butchering any of this, and I
No, you're
hope
doing well.
after again, I did my PhD in this, and I should know, you know, but it's a very complicated, subject. So you line, so you have two neutral surfaces. They, in the van der Waals force, they kind of in the London dispersion across the surface, you kind of align passively the mechanism, either positive or negative, and then the gecko materials is the opposite charge of that. So then you get a weak attraction force called the van der Waals force. So you can think of it kind of like a magnetic force with the negative and the positive, but you can do this with a neutral, smooth and micro smooth objects that come into intimate contact with each other. So on the molecular level, you'll get intimate contact between your glasses, plastics, polished woods, concretes, and gecko materials because of the fine feature sizes of being 1/100th the width of your hair. And that will mate to it and cause a van der Waals force. So, in layman's terms, that's the that's
So
the
my guess is
plan.
there has to be a lot of them to carry that kind of weight.
Yes, you have these little hairs that bend over. It depends on how heavy the surface is. So it's rated at 120 kilopascals of shear strength maximally. So you have to rate how much true surface area you're getting to pick up that object. So you could pick up, a full car, but you would need a lot of gecko materials at
Yeah,
that to pick up that car.
cool. Now, how's this more? How is this superior to tape, glues, and other suction type devices?
Yeah, so you can only reuse them, once, twice, maybe five times. Any traditional kind of solutions for reference, Velcro can actually only be used 2,000 times. So you can use it over 120,000 times, as well as with suction, you can't use suction in space or in vacuum. So we really help our semiconductor industries and our astronauts in space, inside and outside the ISS, because you can't use vacuum in space or suction cups.
So, the question I want to ask there is, what happens if you are in space and or there was a movement up and down? Could it unattach?
In space, you're probably going to have a mechanism in which it locks the gecko materials into its configuration and unlocks it. So if you're holding it in a shear direction, there's probably something, either you'll have two that are opposing that have like a bistable mechanism, or you'll have an array that captures like space debris is the most recent mission we did, and that had a robot arm that actually the arms held it in shear. So you need about 30 microns of movement to hold in shear, and then you're good to go. So in space, yeah, you would have to be pulled in shear. And since there's no gravity, so you couldn't put a 1 inch tile and like support, some weight vertically. But in space, you could have things that are held relative to each other in shear.
And this really does cover the difference in degrees of heat and radiation. It works with that as well.
Yeah, so we did a 1 year testing with two NASA facilities and third-party testers to get space rated. So we're actually approved to go off any US launch pads. It was a very extensive kind of UV radiation, thermal cycling, vacuum chamber degassing, AO test. There was a plethora of tests that we went through that we were approved for. And we
Gotcha.
did like high cycling the whole time and extreme cycling. And normally you wouldn't get that in space. Like there is a nice circular, kind of sinusoidal kind of exposure, as we like to call it. So you wouldn't actually have that intensity the whole time.
So, what engineering breakthrough made this possible?
Yeah, in my PhD, I had the blessing to have a breakthrough of developing a permanent metal mold in which I was able to patent as well as add to the scientific community and get a PhD in.
Wow. How does developing space grade technology translate to solving terrestrial problems? In other words, on Earth.
Yes, yes, yes. So I had the blessing to meet with some really cool astronauters. I actually got to meet Sunny, and spend the day with her and Anna. So Sunny was the one that was kind of caught in space. She had a lot of publicity lately. She's a phenomenal woman and a great scientist and astronaut and super inspirational, as well as Anna, who was part of the original 6 women to enter the astronaut program. And she was the first mom in space. And again, super. amazing to hear their stories and really understand the science that's being developed by astronauts in space and how that translates to terrestrial usage. What we're seeing here, especially with this like debris capturing, there's actually a lot more debris than you think going on in space. Sunny was saying that they were hit like a couple times a day with space debris. So it's actually a massive issue, and it's actually very unsafe for astronauts now to do spacewalks and hold on to certain parts of the ISS because they could cut their gloves and then you die. So this isn't like, just like a small, this is a big issue, right? So really, kind of cleaning up and making space more sustainable. If you make space more sustainable, more scientific, kind of research can go on up there that can be translate to down here. Also, some of the stuff that we do up there with just like docking and berthing and rendezvous could help with just overall capital structure being used for space companies, because space companies typically require a lot of initial VC capital or some type of funding source. And with Gecko materials, we would lower your payload and your SWaP-C, that size, weight, power, and cost. And that will make space more cost efficient as well. And then more testing can go on up there. Maybe things can be manufactured up there and then sent back down here on Earth. So just a lot of scientific research and companies
Yeah.
that would help terrestrial. We could also be a component piece in making it more
So
sustainable.
this is a personal question. So one of the things I thought of is that the cost of putting a spaceship up in space is expensive due to weight, and I would
Yeah.
imagine that this has a huge play for the weight and adding to. Hence, I talked to you about my satellite company that they are looking at that, and they have to screw everything in, and if they don't have to screw it in, they're not adding weight,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's just right. So interesting. Let's talk a little bit about competition.
Yeah.
Companies like Nano Grip Tech have been working on gecko-inspired adhesives for decades. What makes your approach a little bit different?
So love the company, I'm sure they're great folks. Haven't ever met them, but their marketing people really put them in disadvantage because they're octopus, they're suction based. So they're a fundamentally different technology. They're not gecko for the record. The other companies that claim gecko are actually all octopus inspired. Octopus are really cool creatures. I don't know why octopus have such a bad rap with marketing people, but like own up your octopus inspired company. Like, come on, be proud of your octopus suction. Like, suction definitely has its place, but we don't suck. Sorry, no, I'm just kidding. No, but suction does have its time and place. Anything suction can do, we can do better and
Right,
with less
right,
energy. And we won't fail mid-trajectory or there's no holes. You can also have a porous surface, which you can't have with suction. Obviously, you need that solid circle ring to be totally enclosed for you to pick up anything porous is not possible with suction. So again, any competitors are octopus and suction. It's a fundamental different technology from these hairs pulling and shear versus like suction that's all normal. So we're in shear and then they're in normal.
awesome. You solved the mass production challenge that plagued this field for 20 years. What was the key innovation?
Yeah, that was the metal mold. Going back to how I did the IP and my PhD, it really focused on having that breakthrough and able to scale it with using metal molds instead of the traditional thing that took over 48 hours to make a single unit and it was a disposable. So really just changing the game on how we produce this at scale.
So your technologies cost what, about 10 times more than command strips, and you've got
Yeah,
great margins, I think close to 80 points. How do you
don't tell our
justify
customers.
what's that?
Don't tell our customers yet. We still haven't reached profitability, so we can't.
Okay, you've got fairly decent margins. I'll cut that out. All right, let's get rid of that question.
No, 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 you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
So let's talk a little bit about market strategy and growth. You generated about 700K in revenue in 23 with customers like Ford, Pacific Gas and Electric, NASA. How'd you land these major accounts, and what percentage comes from repeat customers versus new acquisition and that?
Yeah, yeah. A part of that was a contract that we had with the government. That was great in the Air Force and Space Force and NASA, like you mentioned. And then the others were, yeah, customers in the semiconductor industry and pick and place robots, car manufacturers. So, um, Yeah, it was a nice balance and mixture. In 2024, we tried to, and also space contributed for a decent amount of that funding as well. So we transitioned a little bit more away from space because space grade is more expensive to make and sell and manufacture because there's more restrictions. So we do have a regular grade and a space grade Gecko Materials dry adhesive, or we call it GMDA.
Breathe,
I talk
breathe.
really, really fast and I'm very excited about this. So yes, we do have a space grade and a regular grade. Space is more expensive. So in 2023, some of those high kind of
Margins.
that you saw were in space.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a quick question though, can the is the space grade viable working in manufacturing down here?
Oh,
If
yes,
somebody
yes.
wanted to spend the money,
Yes, yeah, it's just more expensive. It has lower outgassing. A lot of our semiconductor companies actually use that space grade because it is low outgassing and better for clean room environments.
did you say stomach?
Semiconductor.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. I thought I heard something. So you're targeting aerospace,
Right?
defense, robotics, semiconductors. What market's showing the strongest adoption, and how do you approach market education and technology category, any new categories to teach them? So there's a couple questions in there, but I
Yes.
think you get it.
Yes. So semiconductor robotics, be it cars or other type of robotics manufacturers in space are our front runners in where we're seeing the most traction. And that's our like go-to-market strategy. For market education, what we're really doing is just doing a lot of lunch and learns, going to people's facilities with some handheld demos and getting it in their hands. Once you start playing with Gecko materials, it makes a lot more sense on the attachment mechanism, things like that. We do have videos that we talk through customers with. We hop on calls where we kind of just educate with what Gecko materials can and can't do and show videos with different surfaces, attaching. We have like an Instagram channel with so many bizarre things that people have asked me to pick up over the years. I've done a book from, the 14th century. I've done brown cheese in Norway. I've picked up a mic in the streets of Brooklyn. Like I've done so many fun, kind of random things. We did like a car airfoil one time. Like there's just so many random objects that we like pick up, that people ask us to. So that also helps is like, what can we attach to, what we can't. And then once you get it in people's hands, that's another piece, huge education piece as well.
So, from a go-to-market perspective, let's talk about your sales process. What's your typical sales cycle? Who are you primarily selling direct? Are you selling direct, building channel partnerships? Where are you going with that?
Yeah, so I'm very blessed with some amazing network and folks that really are excited about Gecko materials, either um, folks that have been in pretty high educational circles that have introduced me to large corporations, pretty high up the ladder at different semiconductor companies, like the dean of engineering at colleges that I've attended to have made some key introductions that have allowed me to network and then sell into those divisions, which I know isn't, typical for most startups to have that network. So I am very blessed with my connections. I go to a lot of networking events. I go to a lot of very targeted where customers will be at events. And then just network asks people to pass me on to people and make a lot of videos, do
So
a
you're
lot of
doing a lot
content.
of it yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I am a massive, as a CEO, massively spread thin across all things, but it's great. I have now built up a team with our last fundraising round, was able to hire a bunch of people who are helping with that. Um, so our sales strategy will start to change, but a lot of it is just kind of organic and a lot of inbound. And then we have a great AE team that kind of takes it after you sell, to help you with the transition between um, the first purchase and your initial POC to your full production line. So we have in-house help as well in that area. And then yeah, sale like how we generate leads, personal and professional, as well as we did engage with an AI lead. It didn't work out as well as I would have hoped. But yeah, it's, as we get bigger and our name just gets more known that people, word of mouth is going to be very much appreciated.
So, how do you identify and then reach those R&D thought leaders, early adopters? Um,
Work. Yeah, and networking events. So it's a lot of just time spent at networking events, just pounding the pavement, getting to know people, asking for introductions. Great investors have introduced us to things, friends of friends. So very, very blessed with the connections that I've had
eh,
so far.
what's the biggest challenge you're facing in scaling the business at the moment?
Oh man, just making sure that we're just helping our customers in as many aspects as we can as quickly as possible. So just coming alongside them and getting all their POCs to now high fidelity solutions as quickly as possible.
Ooh, I like that high fidelity solutions. So, how do you handle the chicken and the egg problem of needing volume versus cost reduction, but needing lower cost for volume?
Yeah, I feel very happy with the price point we have now. There are some people that I interviewed for potential investors, and they were like, "Oh, you should raise the prices because people are willing to pay. You're only 10 times more expensive than command strips for the size that you need." Again, we really focus on like how much does the customer actually need? We're not here to sell. Our morals and ethics are truly different. And I really want to help change the industry around the thinking of consumerism because it can't last forever, right? Fast fashion is not great for the environment and just society and people wasting money. Products that only last a certain amount of time and then wear out, also not great for the environment and not really helping our end customer and manufacturer in the long run. So, I do feel pretty confident with our analysis for how we've priced our product. Um, and as we get more orders and everything, it'll just come up as a good problem to have of like, okay, we're adding so much value and you pay like again, right? Apple has a tremendous amount of volume, but why is our iPhone still so expensive? Because it adds a lot of value and people are willing to pay the price. So I think just continuing that kind of mindset, uh, just how much value we're adding, pricing ourselves appropriately, but also not overpricing ourselves. I do really I feel
Yeah,
strongly about.
I agree with you. I thought your pricing was spot on. And could be more, but whatever. You raised 2 million in seed funding in less than 36 hours and closed 8 million on a 26 million valuation. And on the pitch, you famously said there's no valuation set. How's that unconventionally work? I mean, how'd you do that?
Yeah, so we raised after the pitch show, we had a lead investor and he set a pre-money evaluation of 26 with a post 34. So that was set by a lead investor. So we did a price round with a lead investor. The first round was in 2021. It was very different fundraising and it was done very quickly. Yeah.
All right, so this is for people that are looking for funding. I'm looking for advice from you. You mentioned doing an extensive reference check on investors. What red flags did you look for, and how do you leverage networks from investors like the Alumni Ventures and Katie Hawk? So let's start with
Yeah.
the red flags looking. What?
Yeah, if they're just not aligning with your morals and ethics and how you want to run the business, there's probably an investor out there that will align. I have a couple investors tell me, I think that you should charge more, you should have it make it degrade faster because if it does that, you'll be able to sell more. And that's just not the business I'm in. I am here to help our customers. We want it to last as long as possible and be sustainable as possible. Gecko Materials will be a multi-billion dollar household name in due time. And so there are no shortage of ideas and new suggestions of how to incorporate it, use cases for Gecko Materials. So I'm not worried about that. And the couple investors, we didn't see eye to eye on how businesses should be run. And so that passes. Also, just like digging into their background is very helpful. Like if you found something that you don't agree with on a fundamental level, then you probably shouldn't take their money, because they
Yeah,
they do a part of your company, so you should want them. I'm so excited for every single person on my cap table. I love, oh my gosh, they're phenomenal, amazing people. Of course, things change and whatever. So I don't want like this video to come out like, 50 years from now and somebody, somewhere. But for right now, they're phenomenal people. I do feel very confident that everyone's going to be an amazing person. No one's going to go out and like, kill a bunch of puppies. So,
Well,
you know,
the first thing I thought of when I saw your product, I said, coming from a manufacturing background, they there's the manufactured obsolescence is where they design the obsolescence into the product. And I thought that of you, I could see investors saying no. And obviously, to me, your growth is in the um, creative and finding other ways to use it. That's
yeah.
where, right?
And you
So,
replace it once a year. And some of our customers are traditionally replacing things every 1 month to 3 months. And so we're actually pushing our customers to replace it every 6 months to a year. I do think we need a fundamental shift in mindset on how replacement's done and how obsolescence has been like baked into some people's business models. Why can't it change? Why can't we be the change that the world needs?
I,
So
I agree. Way to go. You're on a clear path to 75 million in revenue, recurring revenue in 5 years. What's the key assumptions in that projection, and where to get your biggest untapped opportunities? Look at that
yeah,
smile.
in the semiconductor. I'm so excited for that day. In the semiconductor industry, and really, because the impact we're going to have at that, like, I know the money sounds nice, but the impact and the amount of energy we'll save at that point in time in the semiconductor industry and the pick and place robot and the space industry is going to be so phenomenal and so better for the betterment of society, the world, the workers that work in these facilities. I'm just so excited for that day when it is like fully up and running and all manufacturing semiconductors, mothball facilities, manufacturing cars, around the US and then and globally, and just really helping working conditions around the world. That will be great. So yeah, the assumptions are that the semiconductor industry, chip fabs will be up and running here in the US using Gecko materials. Um, and the car manufacturers and the space industry will be doing some stuff for ISAM, OSAM. That's in space servicing, assembly, manufacturing, and on orbit servicing, assembly, manufacturing.
Okay. How's Gecko Materials currently using AI in research, manufacturing, customer processes, sales, marketing?
We don't use AI at all. We're such a hardware company, and I pride myself on that. We love, I love my fellow CEO friends who do AI stuff, and I think it's great. I think there are a lot of positive things. I love and really advocate for friends who are using AI for good. I know that obviously, most companies are like, oh, I'm doing AI for good, but like, like there are some people just, trying to make a buck off of it or the energy consumption around it. Like I'm so excited about the people that are focusing on how to make AI less computational heavy, less energy intensive. Like I'm super passionate about that. So I actually stay away from AI just because I don't want to contribute to the energy consumption that it's happening right now. So I don't want to be hypocritical in my use. So I have used it a couple times, but I do try to like stay away from the AI just because of the amount of energy consumed in it right now. I'm very excited for the future of it. I think it's very helpful in like medicine, speeding up certain research projects. Some of our customers use it for integration and stuff, but as a company, Gecko Materials does not touch or do anything with AI. Like I mentioned, we did this like lead generation AI thing and it didn't really work. So we did a short trial. Again, I didn't want to consume like too much energy and I don't want to be hypocritical, but I do try my best to kind of like stay away from that if it's not necessary. Like obviously some businesses it's such an added benefit. But for Gecko Materials, like no, we're a hardware company. Everything we do is you can touch it tangibly and like feel it and play with it. And it's great because the software world has been innovative and AI is just a continuation of the amazing innovation in software. Hardware is overdue, long overdue for innovation. So I'm very
Oh,
excited on that.
which leads me to the next question. What's on R&D roadmap for the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, so some proprietary secret stuff. Just helping our customers more. Um, coming out with some different product lines. So, just keep checking our website and videos for the latest and greatest videos, ads, gripper mechanisms, and things like that to find out what's next.
Are you exploring other biomimic? How do you say it? Biomimotech?
Biomimicry.
What's that?
Biomimicry. Biomimicry.
Yeah, mimicry technologies and beyond adhesion.
Yeah, nope, just geckos right now.
Okay.
Never say never. So we get some gripper designs inspired by, God's great creatures out there in the world and how birds latch onto things and things. And like it's just the design. You like walk outside and you look at like flowers and greenery and shrubs even, um, and leaves and you see the design in that and you get inspired by that. But no product line directly mimicking any other creature beside the gecko for now.
Okay. Let's talk about challenges and headwinds. Are you running into any kind of industry trends that could negatively impact your growth?
No, what's great about this whole tariff thing is we manufacture everything under one roof locally, and all of our raw materials are sourced locally. So we're actually ad advantaged. Like if you buy from us, you're at an advantage. You are, not having to spend money on tariffs. You're switching your strategy to gecko materials, so you save money on tariffs too. So we're actually that's actually a benefit. I'm sorry for the rest of the world and everything that's going on, but it's actually a benefit for gecko material. So there's not really any, yeah, international kind of disturbances. Like again, manufacturing is transitioning to more local manufacturing instead of that like focus. So you have, countries getting set up to do local manufacturing. How are you going to do it more sustainable? How are you going to do it more cost efficient? Gecko materials. So we'll play a key component in all of that motion around local manufacturing just worldwide, which I'm extremely passionate about bringing local manufacturing around the world so you can make your products locally and sell them locally, again, to have less reliance on like supply chain issues and things like that.
Awesome. What are your biggest fears about the business, and do you plan for it? Do you worry about it? How's that go?
Biggest fears about the business. Hmm.
This is not fair, but you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But it makes for good TV.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My biggest fears. I mean, oh man.
Like, what keeps you up at
Yeah.
night as a founder?
Oh, I hardly sleep, so I like go to bed real quick and easy. So that's not a problem. But I'm working all the time. It's so exciting and I love what I do. Biggest fear, I guess, just making sure that we're supplying all of our customers and meeting all of our customers' need as quickly as possible. Just making sure we're delivering as fast as possible and just being ahead of kind of traditional R&D schedules and timelines for how people integrate new products into their line, really getting in there to help with their energy consumption and energy savings as quickly as possible. Are we doing it fast enough? Can we do it faster? So that kind of stuff, kind of keeps me awake, but not really because
Yeah,
I
and that kind of leads me into what's the biggest lesson you've learned about building a team or sustaining the innovation like you were just talking about?
yeah. Oh man, that's another great question. So
I'm sorry, I'm really
no,
inquisitive.
no. Yeah, no, I love this. There's so many little things throughout like every single day. There's like a new knowledge or learning or something. So it's not like one big kind of, lesson that I can kind of share. It's just really stay true to your morals and values and make sure that the team you're building around you has similar morals and values, similar kind of instead of instant gratification, delayed gratification, because you're in a startup and you're not going to see results overnight. As I guess there, some companies are the exception, of course, but really just making sure that the team you're building kind of like has that mindset and like can carry through, or if they're just for a season, the values they add, and also like adding value to each other, to society, to community is very important to me, and making sure that everyone on the team feels the same way. Like everybody in my company CEO down to janitorial staff is given one full day off per month to volunteer and give back to the community. It's very important, even with deadlines that I oppose, that I'm like, actually, no, go out and volunteer this month because it's very important to give back and just making sure everyone's on board with that.
So you're a man. You believe in culture and you manage that culture.
Yeah, managing that culture and enforcing that culture and also practicing what you preach. You really have to also go out there and get your hands dirty and do exactly what you're asking of your team. And really creating that team dynamic is very key at the beginning.
Okay, we've got a couple more questions. We're getting down on time. I don't want to keep you too long. How do you want Gecko Materials to be remembered in the material science and sustainability space? What legacy do you want to create?
I want to create a legacy that really impacts and a key component piece. So having a little bit of help in addition to a bunch of very large innovations and transforming new markets, making new solutions. Gecko Materials is a piece of that that enabled it to be even more sustainable, more green, easier to work with, better to handle, more sleek, lower profile, things like that, that just make people's day-to-day lives a little better and then contribute that to Gecko Materials. So even if we're not named, knowing that we had a hand in helping a lot of innovations and we're a component piece in that.
What advice would you give to other deep tech entrepreneurs trying to commercialize and break through with their material and industry products?
Yeah, really look at how things are manufactured, prototypes that are made, overall cost at the very beginning is very important, and quickly iterate with the lowest cost necessary because that's how you're going to sustain the capital flow. Deep tech is getting more VC, interest and money and things like that, but still it is a long way from software. So just being as conscious with your funds and really showing and proving that to your investors will take you a long way.
What would you do differently from start to now?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's a lot of things you could like look back and be like, oh, hindsight 2020. But like honestly, like there isn't too many things that I would change. Everything happens for a reason. You meet different people for a reason. Um, Things trigger other subsequent, inventions and changes and people that I hire. I would have hired everyone I have now day one because they're phenomenal rock stars and I wish I had known them then and we'd be even farther along, but you kind of can't rush that. So there's certain things that you can't really rush. And I'm very happy with how everything turned out. There's certain projects I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have spent so much time on that, or I wouldn't have focused so much on that, or like, I spent a lot of time with this VC that ended up not like working out. But they're all like lessons learned that I had to learn the hard way. So, you just gotta learn the hard way. So
You got
I'm
to
really,
learn the hard way. If you could wave a magic wand and solve one challenge immediately, what would it be?
oh my gosh. I mean, a magic wand, we're already integrated into every single manufacturing facility, like today.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right. The most important thing for our audience to understand about Gecko Materials and how can they follow your journey or potentially get involved?
So, yeah, check out geckomaterials.com. We have a LinkedIn page too that you can follow, an Instagram at Gecko Materials. Um, Pretty much all socials at Gecko Materials you can find us on. You can send us an inquiry at information at geckomaterials.com if you would like to, apply for a job. We're hiring. Or if you'd like to purchase some gecko materials for your project, just please let us know. We're here to help you.
And by the way, it's little g, little e. I was corrected one night. CK, uppercase, little o.
Yes, correct, correct. Good
Well,
catch.
well, you know what? It was absolutely fascinating to speak with you.
Okay,
Everybody, Dr. Capella Kerst, thank you for being with us, and we'll hopefully catch up someday soon.
sounds lovely. Have a great
All right.
rest of your day. Thank you for having me on the show. Talk to
All
you
right.
soon.